What's up everyone, welcome back to the vlog. Gonna be a bit of a different vlog today just because we have a few things to run through. I want to announce the competition winner for the $300 from the Christmas video, and then I want to do a video people have been asking for a while. Now that I'm here a couple of months, I've played in all the casinos in Vancouver. I'm going to give my opinions and thoughts on each place, the pros and the cons, what I like about each spot, what I don't like. So we're going to do that, and then I played a 2-5 session there the other day, but it was a bit of a quiet session. There wasn't too many hands that I thought were interesting enough for a vlog, so I picked like 3 or 4 of the hands that were interesting enough, but usually that's not enough just to make a vlog. So I thought I'd do the competition first, I will do the review of the casinos, and then if you're just here for the vlog, I'll pop up here what minute the poker starts at. You can head directly to that. So let's get into it. How we're going to do this today, originally I was going to put everyone's name into a random name picker, but at the time of recording there's 257 comments, which fuck that, I'm not going typing in 257 names. So we're just going to use a random name generator. I've sped up the video a bit here just so it's not so tedious watching 2.5 minutes of me scrolling through comments. The number picked was 76. What I'll do is I'll post the normal speed video and a short after just for transparency, so you can go through and count them yourself. Double comments will of course only count for 1 comment. So approaching number 76 here, and the winner is Alan Fitzpatrick. So congratulations Alan Fitzpatrick, you've won $300. I'll reply to your comment and let you know where to contact me. You can send me your details and we'll get that arranged. Unlucky everyone who entered, but we have another competition on the New Year's video. Still time, entries are still open in that to win $300 also. So get your entries in for that. We're giving away more cash. We're coming up on 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't, please smash the subscribe button. Get us up to 1,000. We'll probably do another giveaway for that, so keep it locked. Right, so we're just going to get straight into this. The 3 main casinos in Vancouver are Parq, which is located in downtown Vancouver, Grand Villa, which is located in Burnaby, which is about 20-25 minute drive from downtown Vancouver, and River Rock, which is in Richmond, same again, about a 20-25 minute drive from Vancouver. Starting off, I'm going to start off with the casino that I spend most time at, and this is mainly because it's the one I live the closest to. I live in downtown Vancouver, and this casino is like a 10-minute walk from where I live. So as expected, I spend quite a bit of time there. So first casino we're going to look at today is Parq. So Parq is located in downtown Vancouver. It's right beside BC Place and Rogers Arena, where they play the hockey and the football, soccer, for any of you Americans or Canadians watching. So this casino, what I like about it, it's really new. I think it was only built in the last couple of years, so everything's really new inside it. Like when you walk into it, everything's really modern. It's a pretty nice casino to spend some time in. Visually, it's definitely the nicest. The main things I like, well, I'd say the pros about Parq are, firstly, they have live registration and wait lists via Poker Atlas. I think this is a must for any casino out there. Like the ability to be able to go on your phone, look at the list, see what games are running, put your name on the list. You can see how many people are ahead of you before you even got to the casino. You can see what games are running, what's likely to start running. You can register, and then you have 90 minutes to get to the casino to arrive and check in, and then once you checked in, you're on the list. And generally by the time you get there, you'll be near the top of the list, so it shouldn't be too long getting a seat. This is definitely a big plus. They're the only casino in Vancouver that have this, which I think all casinos should just have as a standard. Just makes life a lot easier when you can see what games are running, who's on the list, how long it's going to, like judging by the list you can tell when a table's going to open. So this is definitely a big plus. Secondly, it's open 24/7 even during the week. No others open 24/7 at the weekends, but it's open 24/7 all week, which is a plus. I'd say that the room itself is definitely the nicest looking room in Vancouver because it's so new. Everything's really modern. It looks really nice inside. It's definitely, if you're going to be putting in lots of hours at the table, it's definitely a really nice spot to put in some time. Another plus I would say, due to its location being near Rogers Arena, games tend to be really good after there's been a Canucks hockey game. So especially if it falls on a Friday or Saturday, the casino is packed after the games. and people stumble into the poker room, make their way to the poker tables. Generally, they've had a few beers at the hockey game, they're enjoying themselves. So I think after hockey games is a really sick time to go play in there. There's generally lots and lots of action. As far as the games themselves, so Parq offers 1-3 no limit hold'em, 2-5 no limit hold'em, and 1-2 PLO. So for the 1-3, it's a 400 cap. I think caps are dreadful for games. It's not a thing in Ireland. There's no caps on any buy-in, so that was a big difference moving over here. I'll speak later in the video because all casinos have caps, so I'll speak a bit more on why the caps are bad and why I don't like them. But the 1-3 is capped at 400 buy-in. The action is decent. It can be really good, but I would say it's decent at 1-3, although it can be pretty nitty, and I'll speak to why in the cons. The 2-5 runs every day and gets going in the afternoon, which is a really good plus. Like, it gets going at like 1 PM, so you can go there if you want to play 2-5, get your session in nice and early, not be stuck in the casino all night. 2-5 there is generally pretty soft. There is a couple of good players in the games, but there's always enough fun players to keep the action going. The PLO I haven't played, but it's 1-2 uncapped, and I regularly see stacks of like 6-7k on the table, so it looks pretty good if you play PLO. They're also the only casino that offers PLO, so if you play PLO, that's where you need to be. And then as far as the cocktail waitresses, pretty good in there. Like, they're always quick, always bring you what you want. You're not left waiting too long, which is always nice, so I definitely give a thumbs up for that. So the service is pretty good. The dealers, for the most part, are good. There's a couple of dealers, but that's going to happen everywhere. There's a couple of dealers who aren't great, but generally the dealers there's a couple of dealers who are really, really good, and props to them. It's always good when you have a quick dealer, knows what they're doing. It just makes the game more enjoyable to play. It speeds the game up. And then I've seen a lot of comments on Poker Atlas where you can leave reviews, which I haven't had too much dealings with them, so maybe it's not unfair, but I thought it was unfair. I'd say that the floor staff are quite poor, but generally there's 1 or 2 in there that I've had a bit of interaction so far with, and they've been really nice, really professional, so I would definitely give them a thumbs up on that as well. So now moving on to the cons. There's only 8 tables, and the lists always get long. Like, this is a room that could double its table and keep them all full overnight. There's always lists for 1-3, there's always lists for 2-5, there's always lists for PLO. I think they obviously don't want to put too much time into poker. They want people in the pits gambling on blackjack and slots and roulette and baccarat, which is understandable, but when you have so many people looking for poker, like, it would make more sense just to get more tables. I know there's not enough space in the room for more tables, but there is tables in the upstairs part, and no one is upstairs anyway, so you could add more tables up there. I think, just especially on the weekends, like, to have a monster list of people waiting for a game, like, where they could be sitting in the game, generating rate for the casino. Everyone's going to be happier. You're not sitting around waiting to get into a game, so that's definitely something that I don't like. I think the food is quite poor. Not a great selection, and it's not great either. I don't enjoy when I do have to get food there. I don't really enjoy it. There's nothing that nice. So for a casino of that size, where it's located, how busy it is, like, it should have a lot of food options and a lot of good food options, but unfortunately it doesn't. The rake is going to be a con for every casino, so it's not just Parq, but the rake in Vancouver is really high. The games are good, which offsets some of that, but at the same time it's still way too high. Like, I'm looking at it here, the rake at 1-3, it's capped at 10%, which in itself is like, back in Ireland the rake's capped at 5% in a lot of places. Rake here is 10% capped at 8+2 for the bad beat jackpot, which I hate. At 2-5 the rake is 10% capped at 9+2, so a bit better than the 1-3, but still pretty high. It's like 10% capped at 11 when you work it out, and they don't have a 5-10 game in Parq. I think they did previously, but I wasn't there when they did. I didn't live here when it ran, so I can't speak to that. Another thing I find about the room in Parq is it's pretty claustrophobic. The room itself isn't big enough, so all the tables are bunched really close together, and it makes it awkward when you have the tables which are drinks or your food or whatever, people are moving around. It's just like the room itself should be bigger, so it can feel kind of claustrophobic in there at times. As far as the 1-3 games go, they're decent most of the time. Sometimes they can be amazing, but because of the bad beat jackpot, and like it's like 210k at the moment, it ends up you get a lot of just nitty people grinding the bad beat jackpot. They're just empty seats sitting there hoping that it's hit, hoping they get a table share of the money. But it just destroys the game when you have like 4 players sitting there who just don't play hands. They're like, you might as well have no one there. And then a knock-on effect that has of that was, I was there the other day and the list for 2-5 got so big, there was 16 players at the casino waiting to get into 2-5, which generally they would open up a second table and have a feeder 2-5 into the main 2-5. But all the tables were being used for 1-3 because everyone's in there. The bad beat jackpot's so high, so it ends up you had a bunch of people on a list that can't get into 2-5 that wanted to play and can't get into 1-3. So it's definitely due to the lack of tables and the bad beat jackpot. So that's one reason why I don't like bad beat jackpot. Another thing I don't like about Parq is, so the poker room is here, so where the poker room is to the bathrooms, it's like a bit of a walk. So like you're away from the table from like at least, it's going to take over 5 minutes. Having to leave the poker room and walk through the casino, especially on game nights when like it's packed, the toilets end up in bits, it's like definitely not great. Like, so having the bathroom so far away from the poker room is definitely a big no. But like the bathroom should be in the poker room. So all in all, that's the pros and cons I think of Parq. Overall, I think it's a pretty decent casino to play. I do enjoy playing there. There's definitely things that can be improved of, but that's definitely the same for all of the rooms. Overall, I think the action's decent. Hit and miss on some days. The 2-5 is good, runs every day. Right, moving on. Next casino up is Grand Villa. This is located out in Burnaby. It's about 20-25 minutes away from downtown. Grand Villa so far has probably been my favourite place to play, and there's a couple of reasons why this is. It has by far the best action of any of the casinos. The 1-3 out there is amazing. There's just so many people gambling, there's massive pots. It's like, if I was only playing 1-3 and I had to pick one casino and couldn't play anywhere else, I'd be playing at Grand Villa. There's just lots and lots of action out there. And also in the 2-5, there's like 2 tables every day. There's always a feeder game into the main game. A lot of the time the feeder game actually ends up way better than the main game. So the 2-5 out there is definitely better than the 2-5 in Parq. There's a lot more whales come in, splashing about, definitely a lot more action. The 2-5 in Parq is good, but Grand Villa just has better 2-5. And 5-10 also runs on the weekends. It's the only place I know running 5-10. If there's more, let me know in the comments below. But as far as I know, it's the only place that runs 5-10. Same place we got crushed 2 weeks ago taking a shot. And the room itself has 12 tables, so generally the lists don't end up that long. You usually get your seat a lot quicker. The room is really spread out, which I like. It's very spacious, so I give them a thumbs up for that. Dealers are also pretty good. The wait staff, so the cocktail waitresses in there, are definitely the best out of all the casinos. Really quick, there's lots of them always on, so you're never left waiting for a drink or your food. And speaking of the food options in Grand Villa are the best by far. The most variety, the nicest food. It's definitely out of all places, that's my favourite place to eat when I'm out playing. So Grand Villa's going to take the #1 spot for the food. The bathrooms are also in the poker room, another big plus. Like, you leave the table, you walk 20 seconds, you're at the bathroom, don't have to walk through crowds, don't have to walk through the casino. So this is definitely a big plus. And the room itself, it goes 24 hours at the weekends, and I think it's open from 12 p.m. to 4 a.m. during the week, but I've heard it goes later if there's games running, so that's always good. So now we're going to move on to the cons, and there's not too many from Grand Villa. One, I hear people complain about a lot in there. It doesn't bother me as much as it definitely bothers other people, but the room itself is really old looking, like it needs a lick of paint. It looks like you're in a doctor's office waiting room. That's what it looks like when you're in there. To me, that doesn't bother me as much because I'd rather have the bigger room with more space and more tables, and maybe the room not look so nice compared to in Parq. The room looks unreal, but it's too small, not enough space and not enough tables. So the trade-off there for me, I don't mind playing in the doctor's office. Hopefully the doctor comes out and plays. But For me, that would be more important, but I know for some people they prefer Parq, just looks nicer, a nicer atmosphere, so that one's kind of subjective to what you prefer. And then, this is going to be the same for every place. Rake is too high. 1-3 is 10% capped at 8 plus 1 for the bad B. 2-5 is 10% capped at 10 plus 1 for the bad B. And 5-10 is 10% capped at 12 plus 1 for the bad B. So still 10% too high for these games. The cap is really high, so definitely not ideal. Another massive con with Grand Villa is they don't have live registration, or they don't use Poker Atlas, so you can't go on and see what games are running, how big the lists are, which is very annoying, especially when it's going to take me 25 to 30 minutes to travel there. Now I know you can't phone in and put your name on the list, and you can ask them about the list and whatnot, but generally it's just way easier to check your phone, add yourself to the list, take yourself off the list, whatever. So that's something, if I could change, that's something that only Parq is doing here at the moment, so hats off to them, but it should be a standard for every casino. That's something that I hope Grand Villa get in the future. It would definitely add an extra element to the room that would sway me more to travel out there than just walk the Parq. And the other downside about Grand Villa is because it has the most whales, it has the most fish, it has the best action, it also has the best regs. So the regs generally are a bit tougher than the other rooms out here, just because everyone's going where the money is. So games definitely are better, but the regs are tougher. So you're going to get more battles, they're going to put you in the blender more, stuff like this, which your bottom line, that's going to affect it, but I don't mind that as much. I like to get out there and battle and test yourself and see how good you really are, see how good they really are. So it's definitely, obviously, we just want to play in the softest games, but I don't hate it as much. I like sometimes to battle against tougher regs, but not every day though. Bring me the whales all day, every day. So then moving on to the third casino out here is River Rock. So River Rock, the good things I'll say about it are they just recently renovated the poker room. So they've done it up, it looks pretty nice. It is a bit far out of the casino, you have to go up a lift and walk down a corner, but the room itself, since it's been done up, it's pretty nice. There's 9 tables, there's a sports book in the back if you want to bet on sports and stuff. So the room itself is pretty nice. 9 tables, obviously there could be more, but the 9 tables generally aren't full. So you're usually not waiting that long on the waiting list to get a seat. So then I'd say the 1-3 out in River Rock, the action definitely is pretty good. It's better than the 1-3 in Parq. They don't offer 2-5 or bigger though, so it's all 1-3. But the 1-3 action out there, definitely, all the times I've been there, the action is good. Cons, don't offer 2-5 or higher, so it's all only 1-3. Yes, the 1-3 games are good, but needs a 2-5. And the rake is outrageous. It's the highest rake out in them all. They've only 1-3, and the rake is 10% capped at 10 plus 2 for the bad beat jackpot, which brings it up to 12. So it's 10% capped at 12. Like, that's higher than Grand Villa's 2-5, and this is a 1-3 with a 400 cap. Like, they're taking $12 out of a pot. Like, that's absolute robbery. Like, for a 1-3 game, that's a disgrace. Like, I know the rake is high everywhere in Vancouver, but that's actually this rake right here is a piss take. The games are definitely good enough to where it's still beatable, but like, just, it's like extortionate rate. Like, you're just ripping people off. I don't get it why they need to just rob people. Poker rooms only open 11 to 3 a.m. This is obviously not ideal if you want to play late on the weekends, so be another con. And I found the waiting service, I found the cocktail waitress was really poor out there. Nothing to do with the actual waitress themselves, but they don't have one that stays in the poker room. It seems that they come up from the casino below every so often, but the casino below is really far from the poker room. So like, if you want a drink, like sometimes you're waiting 30 minutes just to put an order in. So like, they need someone that just stays, 1 or 2 girls or men, to stay up there and look after the players. Like, it's not ideal when you're waiting on a drink, even if it's just a glass of water. Like, it's annoying. Yeah, so out of all 3, I would rank Grand Villa as my favourite place to play. Parq slightly behind it. they could both be first together. I actually, even though Grand Villa is my most favourite place to play, I spend most of my time in Parq, so there's not that much of a difference. And then third would be River Rock for all the reasons I get before. It's a nice room and stuff, but just no 2-5, too high rake, bad service. So it would definitely be, if they offered a 2-5, I'd maybe try it out there and go out there a bit more often, but for the moment, no. So now we've just ran through all the casinos, which ones I like best, which I like least, pros and cons of each casino, to help you make up your mind of where you should play if you haven't played in any of these places before. I'm going to go through quickly before we finish and get on to the poker hands. For anyone who's still here and I just want to see poker hands, you should have skipped. I'm just going to run through then the Vancouver poker in general. What I like, what I don't like, differences I found. Obviously I come from Ireland, so it's a bit different over there. So I'll run through the differences and good and bad things. So firstly, probably the best thing I've found since moving to Vancouver, and if you live in a place like Vegas or Miami or LA, this won't seem like such a big deal to you, but coming from Ireland, this is a massive deal. So there's action 24/7. Games run from early in the afternoon, there's games running in the morning, so you can find a game at any time of the day. Where when I lived in Ireland, the games would only run in the evenings. Be like 7 p.m. plus would when the games would start, and they'd be shit for the first like 3 hours, so it was annoying. Your only choice was to play late at night. Over here you can go 2 p.m, jump into 2-5, and it's pretty good. And if it's not, you can just go to another casino that will probably have a 2-5 running at the same time. So being able to put in sessions in the afternoon is definitely a big plus. Not being just handcuffed to having to play late at night is definitely way better. In Ireland, past 1-2, everything is PLO. Everyone loves PLO in Ireland, they just want to gamble. So the ceilings, like here, you can't play 2-5 or 5-10. There's no progression in Ireland unless you go to PLO. So being able to play 2-5, take shots at 5-10 is definitely a massive plus. Another great thing about Vancouver is it's a rich city. There's a lot of people with deep pockets here, people who like to gamble. There's a lot of wealth in the city, which translates to action games, terrible players. So overall, this is a massive plus for the poker games. Compared to Ireland, there's a lot more money. There's a lot more money here in Vancouver than say in Dublin, where I am from and where I previously played. And every casino has an auto shuffler over here. So while the hand has been dealt, so they have 2 decks, one hand's in the shuffler. Time that hand is finished, you just put the deck they just used in and take out a fresh shuffle deck out of the machine. Just speeds up the game a lot, makes it so that the hand isn't finished, either doesn't need to wash the cards and then shuffle. Auto shuffle is definitely, they get you some extra hands in per hour, which is definitely pretty good. So they're the reasons why I think it's definitely a pretty good place to play. Definitely better than Ireland in my opinion. There's just like at 3 p.m. here there could be 30 odd games of No Limit Hold'em running around the city. You looked at 3 p.m. in Ireland, outside of a poker festival, there's probably 0 games running. Like 0. And then as you get into the night, there'd be a handful of games. Definitely for those reasons, I think Vancouver is way better than where I played before in Ireland. The cons of poker in Vancouver: the rake is extortionate. When you compare it to other places, when you compare it where they played at before, you used to play in games where it'd be 5% capped at 9, or even the games that were 10% were capped at 5, which is pretty good because it was 1-2 and it was uncapped, so the game got deep. And if the rake is 10% but it's low, they're hitting the cap every time in the small pots, so you're kind of losing in the small pots, but that's not where you're making most of your money. It's the big pots, and then that's where that adds up. If you play in the place I played, you played a 1k pot, the rake is $5. Another massive con, something that I really miss here, is there's no tournament scene. It's all cash games. There is like some like $70 buy-ins in the morning and some of the casinos, but there's no, like in Ireland, every month you'd have a big tournament series in a hotel with a big guarantee, might be 300 to 500 buy-in, decent prize pool, and then people come, stay in the hotel for the weekend. The cash action is crazy. People are down, having a good time, having a few pints, so it's definitely, the tournament scene is booming a lot more in Ireland. It's more of a community. You see the same people at all the events. So that's definitely lacking over here. Now I don't know if it's to do with greed and the casinos just they just rather have that table as a cash game raking it. I've heard of someone it's to do with BCL or whoever regulates like the casinos and stuff here is why they don't do tournaments. I'm not sure why the reason is, but it's definitely something that Vancouver is lacking. I'd love to see big live events come here. Like, it's great. Like, my favourite poker festival in the world is the Irish Open. Haven't played the Irish Open before, it's on every year. Crazy cash games, like, the bar is packed, the atmosphere out there, it's nothing like I've seen at any other poker stop. Norwegians runs the week before that, bunch of Norwegian guys come over, pockets loaded, drinking heavy, gambling at the tables. Like, if you want the best 2 weeks of poker, go to Ireland during them weeks. The Irish Open is, not being biased because I'm Irish, but it's a special poker festival. The crack is unreal, like, they just have some laugh out there, so it's missing that. There's none of that in Vancouver, which is a shame, to be honest, because there's way more people playing poker every day here than in Ireland. Yeah, in Ireland, every month they're pulling these tournaments off where you get like 1,000 players play a 500 or 300 euro buy-in in a hotel in the middle of the country. So Vancouver, if it was done right, could easily have that and be putting up double, triple the numbers with the amount of people out here who play poker. Another big con, and it's the same in the States, is the capped buy-ins. So in Ireland where I played, 1-2 game had no cap. If you want to buy in for 5k, go ahead. So what it meant was the games played way deeper because you could buy in for more. So even though it was 1-2, and even though the 1-3 out here, it's $3, it's a bigger big blind, but the games play smaller because the max you can buy in for is 400. So when you factor in also the rake being so high and not being able to buy in for that much, it ends up they're just taking way more from the players. If everyone could buy in for $1,000, it wouldn't be as bad that the rake is that high. But it also is tilting. If you're down money, you could be down 1k and you can only reload for 400, which is it's tilting to say the least. Like, overall, I think it's a bad thing. Your games don't reach their full potential that they could because people can't get in for what they want to. The games don't get as deep. Like, my favourite thing is really deep stacked cash games, and if you have a 400 cap on a 1-3 game, that's not going to happen. I know the cap is 1,500 in 2-5, which is pretty good. The cap wouldn't bother me there because that's 300 big blinds. Like, 300 big blinds is perfect, but having a cap that's like 133 big blinds is definitely not the way to go. Last comment I'd say about out here in Vancouver is bad beat jackpots. People love them, but I don't see the point in them. Yes, they're good advertising for the casino. Like, I know the one in Granville is 400k at the moment. The one in Parq is 220k. But they're taking money out of every pot from every player who plays over, say, 3-4 months, however long it takes for the bad beat to be hit. And then one table is going to hit it. Two players are going to get the lion's share of the money, and then the rest get a table share. And obviously it's good for the casino to be like, oh, this guy won 100k from the bad beat jackpot. But the odds on you being at the table when the bad beat is hit is so low. They're just taking money. Like, I'll give you an example of what I think is better than a bad beat jackpot. And if you've done it here, you could have massive tournaments. So where I used to play in Ireland, I spent a lot of time in Village Green. It's actually owned by JP McCann, who runs the Irish Open. So if you're ever in Ireland, check out Village Green. Tell them the Irishman sent you. If you're at the Irish Open, check it out. It's not too far from where the event is held. But what he done is way better than any bad beat jackpot. So essentially what they do is they take €1 out of every pot, the same way that they would with the bad beat jackpot. Instead of it just going to it, letting it build up and then a handful of players win it, what they do is every 3 months or whatever it is, they'll run a free roll tournament. So say it gets up to 30k, it's a free roll tournament. You have to have played a minimum of 40 hours to qualify. If you have 40 hours, you get 4,000 chips. If you have 100 hours, you get 10,000 chips. If you have 500 hours, you get 50,000 chips. So your chip stack is determined by how much volume you've put in the casino. So it's like a form of rake back. You get rewarded by how many hours you spend at the table. Generally, the people with the most hours usually win some money because they've such a big stack. The payouts are flat so that a lot of people get paid, which usually means on the night after this tournament, cash games are usually great because everyone gets a bit of money. They jump straight back into games. It's like a form of rake back. You're way more likely to win some money with this promotion. So out of every euro in the pot that you take out, you might get 20 cent, 30 cent of that back, depending on your chip stack, depending on, you might get more if you're always cashing or always winning the free roll, but you'll get a percentage of that euro back. With the bad beat jackpot, you either get zero because it's so unlikely on the table when it's hit, and then a couple of players get more than that dollar back. So it's not a good way of, I know it's good for the casinos to be like, oh, we've a really big bad beat, but overall I think bad beat jackpots are generally bad. They encourage people to come in and be empty seats and just sit there, not play hands, and they're just hoping to be at the table when the bad beat is hit. So I'd like to see something else brought in. If you want to do promotions, that's fine, but definitely I'd get rid of bad beat jackpots. They're no good. So if you made it to here, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about the casinos. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? If you want to see anything more like this, I know this is kind of the first style of video I've done where it's just me talking to the camera for a really long time. But if you'd like to see more of that, maybe you have some questions you want to ask me or anything you want to find out about me, I could do a video like that. If not, if you didn't enjoy it, let me know also, and I can just stick purely to the vlogs. Happy to do that also. So if you're still here and you've been waiting for the vlogs, thanks for making it to the end of the review. Give the video a like, give the channel a subscribe, and I won't hold you any longer. We'll get straight into the poker hands. This is a 2-5 session at Parq. You're going to see it right now. Right, so a bit of a short and sweet session here today. Don't have too many hands to look at. Pretty card dead, just one of them sessions, so figured it would be a good video to throw in the Vancouver poker review. So, kicking off this hand here. So we're playing 2-5. There's a limp under the gun. Button raises it up to 20. I look down at ace-8 of hearts in the small blind. So, pretty good candidate here to 3-bet. We're going to do a lot of 3-betting out the small blind when we're playing hands. So we 3-betted up to $85, slightly over 4x. The button calls and we go heads up to a flop. Flop comes down, jack of hearts, king of hearts, 7 of diamonds. So we flopped enough flush draw on a board that's going to be pretty good for our range overall in general. We have a lot of strong hands on king jack 7, so we're going to continue with a lot of our range here. We see about 1/3 pot, $60 into 180, and the button calls again. Heading to the turn and we get no help. It comes to 4 of spades, so we still just have enough flush draw and an overcard. We're going to continue to barrel. It's a good hand to continue bluffing with. We're going to continue to bet our ace kings, our aces, pocket jacks. So we have a lot of strong hands here, so this is going to be one of our best semi bluffs. We have outs to the nuts. I think we want to use a good size in here. We go a bit bigger. We bet 2/3, 200 into 300. I like using the bigger sizing because missing off flush draws generally are bad hands to bluff rivers with, because we do block the villain having the missing off flush draw that we want them to fold. So we're going to size up here. It allows us to shove the river if we do hit our hand, and if he calls again, we're just going to shut down if we miss. He thinks for a while, flicks in the call. River now comes to 9 of spades, completing the queen 10 straight draw. We have just ace-high here. I think it's a bad combo to follow through with the bluff, so we're just going to check and give up. He jams for his remaining 650 and we just send the cards into the muck. In this hand we look down at 10-8 suited, our favourite hand in poker. We open it to 20 under the gun, middle position calls, and the cut-off squeezes to $75. After making a bit of a loose open, we also make a bit of a loose call. We find it hard to fold these cards. We just love them. We seem to always win with them. And the two villains in the hand, I think, are definitely recreational players. We played a lot with them before, so I fancy ourselves to outplay them post-flop, be able to stack them on certain runouts. So we're going to make the loose peel and call with the 10-8 suited. Middle position gets out of the way and we go heads up to the flop. Comes ace 4-9 with 1 spade. So we flop a couple of back doors, but nothing too good. We check it on over to the cutoff and he checks it back. Now the thing about this player is he plays his hands very honestly, and I would expect him to bet if he had an ace. I think he can do a lot of checking with tens, jacks, queens, so I think on certain turns we can certainly attack this. Turn out comes a 5. We don't pick up the flush draw, but we're going to go after his checks. I don't expect him to have an ace. I think he bets 100% of his ace kings and ace queens. So we bet $80 into 157. He sticks around and the river comes down an offsuit 9. So we've just 10 high in the river here. We need to bluff if we want to win this pot. Putting him on a hand that's a pocket pair, lower than aces. So I think he probably has more than likely tens, jacks, queens, or kings. I don't think he ever checks back an ace. I think he plays his hands really honest. He should have c-bet his entire range on the flop, to be honest, but we're going to go after the check. I don't think we need to go too big here to make these hands fold. We want to make it look like we're just milking them with some value for an ace. It's hard for us to have too many bluffs here, I'd say, in his eyes. So we bet $130 into 317. And after a short tank, he sends them into the muck and tells us he folded queens. So good result for us here with the 10 high. I think he's the type of player that's definitely worth going after in these spots. Given how honestly he plays his hands, it's going to allow us to attack him. When he checks back, he's not going to have any aces. So the final hand of the vlog, it's a very interesting one. So there's a wild guy sitting to our left. He came in after the Canucks ice hockey game, bought in for 500, spun it up to 2k in one orbit, then lost it the following orbit. He's in for more. He's just gambling like fuck. Always good to have a player like that at the table. He's just driving the action. So we look down at 8-9 of spades in the big blind. The wild Canucks guy has the 10 straddle on. Under the gun raises to 30. Middle position calls. Button calls. I call in the big blind knowing that he's going to call in the straddle, and he sticks around as well. So we're going 5 ways to a flop. Comes down a decent one from 7 of hearts, 8 of clubs, 9 of clubs. So we flop top 2 pair. It's a pretty dangerous board though, so we check. The wild Canucks guy in the straddle decides to lead out for $80. Under the gun calls, and now the button raises to 275. So this is where I think the hand is interesting. We have top 2 here, but it's definitely not strong enough to go with, because there is 10 jack is a straight, 5-6 is also straight, and there is sets out there, although there's only one combo of 8s and 9s left, and then there's 3 combos of 7s. So we don't have the nuts, but I think we have too strong of a hand just to fold. So we call the 275, straddler gets out of the way, and then the button goes into the tank before deciding to call the 275. Now, I played with the button quite a bit today, and I think he's going to not be capable of folding an overpair. I also think if you just had a hand like Jack 10 of hearts, he might just rip when it goes bet, call, raise, and I overcall. I think he's very inclined to rip a hand like Jack 10 of hearts that doesn't want to see a club. So I think it's only like nutted hands he flats are maybe like Jack 10 of clubs, which is one combo. So fairly confident we're ahead of him, but the button could definitely have us beat. Turn out comes the queen of diamonds. There's 975 in the middle. We check. Under the gun checks, and the button goes all in for his last $310. So given that we're getting 4-1 on our money here, given that I think we have a better hand than under the gun, so we don't need to be too worried about him. Although if we call and he went all in, I think we'd just make the laydown. But given that he can have flush draws, he can have a hand like ace 10 of clubs, which is a flush draw and an open ender, king 10 of clubs. There's a lot of hands we're ahead of. We're getting 4-1 on our money with 2 pair. If we're behind, we can still hit an 8 or a 9 for a full house. So not loving the situation, but not hating it either. I think we're going to be ahead of a chunk of hands he goes all in with, and we're going to be behind sometimes with some outs. But getting the price, it's 310 to call. There's nearly 1300 in the middle. It's just way too big of a hand to lay down. We beat a lot of his bluffs. He has a lot of flush draws that are semi bluffs. I think we just have to make the call. We make the call. River comes to 4 clubs, so not a great one. If he did have a flush draw, he turns over pocket 7s for a flop set. So we were behind all the way looking for some help, but don't think we could have done anything here with the stack sizes. It was a bit of an awkward one post flop when he raises, but I think we just need to call. Given the amount of draws out there, I think we just have to put in the call, hope we're ahead, and if we're behind, hope we can river a full house. Fortunately, it didn't happen this time, so we're booking a small loss today, but not too bad in the end. Right, thanks for tuning in today. Bit of a different style video. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments below. We can do more of these. If not, also let me know. We can just stick to purely poker vlogs, purely poker hands. We'll be back next week. Hopefully not be as card dead as the last session, because we just ended up getting no interest in hands. So we'll return next week with a proper vlog. Well done to the winner of the giveaway. We'll be announcing the New Year's giveaway some stage next week. So keep getting your entries in. We were into the 2-5 game today for $1,430. Out for $9.19 for a loss of $511. A lot of the loss came from the 8-9 hand. Not sure if there's too much different we can do. We get back on the horse next week, back into the winning book. So keep it locked here. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon. Peace.